Hey, remember me? The guy who said he'd make a Dragon's Dogma video 2 years ago and never actually did it, and then put a random Yakuza 0 video in the midst of the long hiatus? Well, do I have a surprise for you. Dragon's Dogma is an action RPG by Capcom released in May 2012, meaning most people were too busy playing Skyrim or getting through Mass Effect 3. And it's understandable as those are known IPs and Dragon's Dogma was a brand new IP by Capcom, which made it fly under the radar for many. But you know what? Capcom didn't give up on it, not by a long shot. Dragon's Dogma is a high fantasy ARPG with a world inhabited by interesting creatures, a decently compelling story, assuming you've paid attention, and its strongest point in my opinion, really fun combat. With a high fantasy setting, you should expect the creatures of the land to be similar to those you'd find in Dungeons & Dragons, which includes goblins, direwolves, chimeras, hydras, and of course your assortment of winged beasts. There's plenty of monsters to encounter, small and big, and you best be ready for the upcoming possible encounters, or it'll be the end of you and your team. Everything has its set locations, which changes depending on your progress in the story. The basis of the story is, you are the Arisen, cursed by the dragon Gregory, fated to encounter him with the assistance of your AI-controlled pawn allies. The story is divided into 8 stages. There's the first 6, which are base game, the 7th, which is endgame, and the 8th and final stage being New Game Plus. These stages will change what the merchants are selling, what kind of enemies spawn, what side quests are now permanently locked and new ones unlocked, and due to the events in the story, the stage you're in will affect the overworld permanently as well. So make sure you go over your side quests and take adventures with grinding levels to make sure you don't fall behind and get caught by new changes and creatures that take place from that point onwards. Dragon's Dogma is a fairly grindy experience, with nothing too crazy, and there's ways of speeding up the grind such as farming Bitter Black Isle. You can also figure out what spots to go to and cycle your warpath from there, such as taking on hordes of goblins to get the direwolves, to get to the Chimera, Wraith, or Drake you saw the other day, to get that good loot and XP. Alternatively, you can get more XP from playing on higher difficulties, but not without repercussions, as the game will obviously be harder than before and things will take you down way easier. Good thing the game evens that stuff out with your skills, augments, and abilities though. The game has some really interesting combat. Your pawns are AI that learn from their battles, whether it be your own battles or battles from the original creator, and they also learn quest paths and enemy weaknesses. The hack and slash combat should be recognizable since the game was directed by Capcom's own Hideki Itsuno, famous for the Devil May Cry franchise, although it seems to be mixed with Monster Hunter. So just imagine Monster Hunter and Devil May Cry had a baby, but with a smidge of Breath of Fire. It's a hack and slash with systems for mounting big enemies and grabbing smaller ones, and your allies help with combos. Not bad, right? Dragon's Dogma. The game, the myth, the legend. Released 5 times on 2 different console generations, twice on PS3 and 360, then onto PC, PS4 and Xbox One, and finally onto Switch, launching to an overall positive reviews and over 2 million copies sold. The game did pretty well for a new IP, even getting a free-to-play sequel, quote unquote, Dragon's Dogma Online, and that was launched only in Japan. Unfortunately though, that was shut down at the end of 2019. Heck, the game even earned itself a new anime series on Netflix. That's pretty wild for a new IP. Props to you, Capcom. Now the real question is, when are we getting a sequel, guys? Please?